Hey guys, so today I'm trying out this new light thing that I got, but I think you guys can see my face way too much, like, more than I want you to. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about temperature and humidity for the isopods, more specifically giant canyon isopods, because those are the type I have. I got them from Glassbox Tropicals, and, you know, like, that's just where I bought them. They were super expensive. You don't have to buy them there, but that's where I got mine. And I'll just kind of be talking about, like, my experience. These particular isopods are from Europe, but I'm sure that there's different types of isopods that are from different parts of the world that would obviously be like used to different climates. So let's just get into this and I'll kind of explain myself more. Okay, this is one of my terrariums that I have isopods in, and you can actually see one, maybe there's a ton of reflection, I think right here there's one, you can kind of see there. Anyway, normally once it gets dark they'll come out. Like in the last video I kind of talked about lighting, and they don't really like light, so right now while the light is still on, they're just hiding in this 10-gallon terrarium that I have here, which I'm going to be taking down pretty soon and kind of merging it with all the plants in here. This also has isopods, and so does this, but this doesn't look so well. This looks so great. So talking about isopods, so temperature and humidity. The temperature is kind of, this tank is obviously room temperature. Same with this one. My room temperature might be a little bit warmer than normal because I always kind of have this heater on to keep, you know, all my animals warm. But in my iguana's cage, as you can see, there's a heat light there and this, which would probably burn me if I touched it. It's a ceramic heat emitter. So the dirt is all the way down here, but it used to be, this is about 36 inches, I believe, I think. And then what it used to be was like 21, so the heat was a lot closer to the ground, and the here, I'll turn on the light for like half a second just for the video. Don't really want to bother my iguana too much, but down here is where the isopods are, obviously in the soil, and this is about 6 inches of soil, and they it was a lot, like in here it's really moist soil. What it used to be was really pretty dry soil on top, and for a long time I didn't even know that I had isopods, and they would actually live, I think what they were doing is they kind of lived under like pieces of wood I had like this, and the plates that I'd put in there, because I used to put paper plates with food on them, and they kind of lived under that because it got really moist. But I stopped doing that and I just started dumping the food on the ground now, as you can see right there. So with these, I like to keep them a lot, like, again, room temperature, it doesn't really matter. I wouldn't say they could stand like really cold. Obviously that's like a problem when shipping them. I think they came with a like a heat pack, but I'm not sure. That I know they came with like insulation and stuff. But the I would say, like, obviously you wouldn't want them colder, but like who's gonna have a terrarium that's like a cold terrarium? Obviously you want your plants to grow and everything, so that's not really something you have to worry about. But when it comes to heat, I don't think at any point they really get like too hot. I mean, obviously there's a point, but like I have a iguana and it's gonna get pretty hot in here, and they don't really seem to mind at all. But from room temperature to, you know, 80, well, I mean, at the basking spot there, it probably gets 90 to like 100 degrees. So when it comes to temperature, that's pretty much it. And then when it comes to humidity, I would say that they want it moister, because what they like to do is they like to hide under moist things like this type of thing. I doubt there's probably any under here just because I said that. But actually, yeah, there's a bunch back there. I don't know if you could see them. Yeah, you can see some running away. So they like to hide under moist things. This isn't actually very moist, but just stuff. But this isn't, but the dirt was. They like to hide under stuff like that is really moist, and all of the soil is super moist. And that's basically how it was. But in this last enclosure, it was dry most of the time. The bottom was like almost completely saturated, like the bottom few inches, but as it got to the surface, it was really, really dry, and that's why I never really saw them, even though there was tons of them. But now I see them a lot more even at the surface because it's wet, even at the surface. So I wouldn't try to keep them in an arid climate, but like I was saying, I'm sure there's probably isopods in the hobby that you could get and keep them in a arid setup, like something for a leopard gecko, which isn't, you know, like desert. Same with like a bearded dragon. They're not like desert, like sand, which is what a lot of people think, but they're more like grassland kind of things. But something like a Euromastix is like a desert type of animal. But I'm sure there's probably isopods that you could have in a lot less humid setup than this. And my question is if I could keep these isopods in with something like a leopard gecko and have, you know, like hot spots, basically, like areas where it's really humid, like a human hide, and that's where the isopods would be, like on that side of the tank, while the rest of the area would be kind of bare, like they wouldn't be able to go there. That's something that I'd like to try, but with what leopard geckos eat and the fact that I mainly keep turtles and I don't really want any more lizards because I can keep turtles, I probably won't end up trying that. Maybe someday in the future, but not anytime soon. But that's something that I'd kind of like to explore the idea. So when it comes to humidity, I would say keep the substrate moist, and that's what they'll be living in. But I wouldn't worry about, like I spray this down. I don't actually spray this down. I have a humidifier, but I haven't sprayed this down in a long time. It just stays moist. I'm kind of waiting for it to dry out, and then I'll start spraying it down again. But I would spray down the dirt and keep it moist. The temperature you don't really have to worry about. I wouldn't say for any reason that you'd have to worry about with keeping this species in particular. With other species it might be different, but in my experience these are just fine. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, like it down below. If you have any comments or concerns, put in the comments below, and if for more content, then subscribe. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video.